all of who we are. We embody it. We release shame. We wear our life with pride. We've become empowered. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Val Mason, and in today's video, I want to talk about what happens when we begin healing and we become aware of every level and layer of who we are. When we begin healing and integrating our shadows, our curses, the things that have always haunted and tormented us, when we begin healing and integrating that into our consciousness, and I want to go ahead and give a note that does not mean evicting those experiences and pushing those experiences away from you and needing to evade them, and running and hiding. That is them still controlling you. That is your shadows and fear controlling you. That's fear of fear itself. What it actually means to heal is to be able to look your life experiences and your trauma square in the eye and accept them as a part of your life's design. It is a part of your design. It's something that you chose for your soul path. And this is a very hard pill to swallow in the initial phases of healing and spiritually awakening. So when we're able to do this, we've accepted responsibility for our path. We've taken back control just like that. And when we're able to embody our truth, all of who we are, we speak our truth, we walk it, we live it, we express it in our different avenues of creativity, whatever that may be. You've taken personal responsibility to honor your life path in a way that empowers you, instead of letting your darkness keep you disempowered and stuck in fear and in your own prison. Your mind is no longer your own prison because you know how to suffer. Thich Nhat Hanh said, if you know how to suffer, you suffer much less. And basically that's what that means. It's accepting that struggling and grief and pain and difficulty and challenge is a part of the earthly experience. So instead of throwing a temper tantrum and rolling on the floor and kicking your feet and screaming and just pounding it and saying, why, instead of doing that, maybe you can do that for a couple of minutes. But then you have to take a deep breath and you have to ask, what is this teaching me? Why is this happening? What is the root cause of this? Why could this possibly happen? If you don't have a blessed clue in the moment, still ask the question, because the answers will come. That's why we have our problems. By divine design, in this holographic universe, built into every problem is a solution. Whether we can comprehend that or whether we find that solution within this physical lifetime or not, it remains a truth and a fact, a universal law. When we accept all of who we are, we embody it. We release shame. We wear our life with pride. We've become empowered, and we express who we are creatively. And we honor the cyclical nature of who we are in experiencing sadness, grief, and pain, and joy, bliss, and love. And we just let it flow. We no longer try to restrict anything. We're not discriminating. We understand the yin and yang nature and the cyclical nature of life. We are life in human form. When we do this, we become energetically and synchronistically perfectly aligned with the algorithm of all of life. We become aligned with different souls, with higher self counterparts. We become aligned with the music and movies and plays and stories and mythology throughout time, We become aligned with the perfect opportunities and places and situations, with everything that is designed to continue propelling us forward and just helping us along our own soul path. If you're somebody who struggles with knowing their place or finding their place or finding their purpose, the answer to that great question is do what your intuition and your inner compass is guiding you to do. Even if it doesn't make sense, follow that guidance. If you question that guidance, your egoic mind is going to try and talk you out of it. Don't let the mind weigh the situation. If you're getting a hit from your intuition, just act on it, follow it. That's what unlocks all the resources coming in from the interconnectedness of the universe to usher you into the next step. The revelations, the soul connections, the missing links, they are all in following your intuition, following your passion. And it isn't that you follow that, you get it, boom, done. Probably most of the time, you're going to follow something, you probably won't get a result. You'll need to, the universe is testing you so that you can test the water of the universe. You're here to test the waters. You have to feel, you have to feel your life out. Like for me personally, let me explain. When I was a kid, a lot of my peers knew what they wanted to be when they grew up, or they had an idea anyway. I mean, usually we probably don't become what we want to be as a kid. If you do, then you're lucky, or you know how to manifest, you have confidence and everything like that. But I never knew what I wanted to be. All throughout school, even in high school, when I was approaching, going to college, I didn't know. And even into my adult years, into my late 20s, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And I attempted many different things. I went to school, I thought I was going to be an EMT. I thought I could be a truck driver like my dad. I dabbled around with the thought of being a cop. There were several things that I actually attempted and took action towards that totally were a flop because I was never meant to. And I felt immense pressure from my family and from life in itself in what it was that I needed to do or what it was that I needed to be. And everything, even when I was doing it, I didn't really want to do it. There was something missing. Something didn't make sense or add up. And it tormented, it haunted me. I thought there was something fundamentally flawed with me. I thought I was a loser, And of course, all throughout my adulthood, I was an alcoholic and I was addicted to this and that because I was trying to bury and drown all my grief and pain from my childhood. So my 20s were probably the worst years of my life. My 20s were probably the worst years of my life because it was just hell, pain, torture, torment, addiction, struggle, until my Kundalini awakening. When I was 27, turning 28, literally, my Kundalini awakening was probably still going on when I turned 28. And then everything began to make sense. I finally understood. The questions to my life began pouring in. Sometimes all at once and mostly incrementally. And today, I feel more in my body than I ever have in my life, And the way that has happened was after my Kundalini awakening, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I was meant to do. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And the only reason I didn't know what I wanted to do was because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know my capabilities. I wasn't aware. So the way that I remembered who I am and remembered why I'm here and remembered my potential and my power and unlocking my creative and sexual energy along that way was following every intuitive hit. And through every cycle of spiral time, during my incremental healing journey after my Kundalini awakening, of healing my trauma, my ancestral trauma, my personal trauma, through different soul connections, and embarking upon this journey of what we call, I guess, soul retrieval, and remembering who I am. The way that this has worked for me, I didn't know that this was going to happen. I didn't know. I had no bloody clue. In fact, the first year after my Kundalini awakening, I spent laying on the earth in immense, debilitating, crippling pain, the dark night of the soul, treacherous, hell, crying into streams, walking barefoot in fields under the moon in the day sky, just holding my pieces, not really knowing at all of how to move them, feeling utterly lost, like my life had come to an end. I could not foresee my future. That's how little of self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-awareness that I had. I had lost it. That was my turning point in my life. So I didn't know then where I would be now today. I had no idea. But what I did know was that I had two choices: check out, or just do what I could. So I asked myself, what is it that I wanted to do? And, I would sit with myself and I started asking what my passions are. What is it? I'm an artist, I'm a photographer. I'm an outdoor sports enthusiast, and little by little, I started acting on these, Every step of the way has been in synchronistic, algorithmic perfection. Magic. Along this journey, and when you spiritually awaken, how, like, spontaneously you'll remember things that you have never remembered, since it happened, maybe when you were 2, maybe when you were 3, stuff like that. You'll remember, like, thoughts that you had when you were 3, or even dreams that your brain doesn't lose anything. It's just, it becomes more activated. Things are waking up, things are firing and wiring in there when we're spiritually awakening. We're electric beings. We are electric and magnetic spiritual beings having a human experience, And it's our body that is now allowing more of our spirit and our truth and our soul to come through in order to become more aligned synchronistically and energetically with all of life, to be the best, to get the best, and to give the best. So as I was saying, when you embark upon this journey, when you step into the unknown, when you take that leap of faith, when you just decide to trust, even when you don't, and you take that step forward, you embark upon that journey and you begin remembering who you are. You remember who you are logically, energetically, and you are like a bloom in progress. You are like a flower blooming in slow motion when you take that leap of faith and you just keep going with perseverance and with diligence. And if that feels challenging, that level of trust and faith and perseverance and, building that confidence and self-esteem that you had lost, of course, that's going to feel difficult and challenging to do initially, but that's how you shed your skin. That's how you emerge from the chrysalis, and begin flapping your wings again for the first time. Every death and rebirth is painful. Every single molting experience is difficult and challenging and sticky. But then when you come out the other side, you look back and realize how much of that experience was just your perception. It was your subconscious conditioning. It was your belief around the idea that created the difficulty. Once that belief is eliminated, you're free to breathe, to breathe, to express. And this process that I'm describing as a whole is spiritual, it's energetic, and it's physical. It's mental, it's emotional, it's our entire being that goes through the process and the change. It's not just a mental thing. This is why it's so important to be aware of how these processes occur within our physical bodies, our mental body, our emotional body, our spiritual body, everything, because it gives you the knowledge, and knowledge is power. And in this case, it means that you know what's happening with yourself. So you're like, okay, cool, I trust it. I know what's going on. And then you start to sense it and feel it. The more knowledge that you gain, that you possibly can gain, right? In spirituality, in the healing process, and cellular biology, and the quantum mechanics and physics of what a transformational process is spiritually, you have the upper hand, and the more likely you are to have success. Okay? Because you have more answers to these questions of, is this real? Like, is this actually working? What's happening to me? And then it becomes to make logical sense in a mystical fashion as well. So I'm going to be honest with you, to have this knowledge around healing, stepping into a new day, becoming superhuman in the best version that you can be, the more knowledge that you gain around that topic, cellular biology and what's happening physiologically and energetically, that can initially create more anxiety, because you see where you're quote unquote flawed, or where you need the most work and improvement around. But that's good, because that's what you need to do and focus on first, or at the very least, don't let your awareness drift from it. Knowledge is power. Okay. And the other half is about letting go and trusting and just living and not thinking. I always say things are so nice when they fit in boxes, and you can pin a definition on them and they feel safe and comfy. But, all boxes are made to crumble and break and fall. Anything that brings you comfort now will have come and gone. Your perspective and perception of life and beliefs now are most likely going to change in 2 years. We have to be able to learn how to just let go and flow with the bittersweet nature of our lives, which is, change is the only constant. What the entire message that I'm giving today is boiling down to is simply about choosing to face your fears, accepting and owning your life path, forcing yourself into change when it's painful, shedding your skin when it's painful, over and over. If you feel physically weak and incapable, debilitated, with debilitating anxiety, maybe depression, you're at your wit's end. Anxiety is the result of not being able to, or knowing how to fully express all of who you are. That is what you are having a problem with in the first place. Like I said, built into every problem is a solution. The only way to get there is to step forward. The only way to get there is to make the wrong choices. Your soul wants you to make the wrong choices. It wants you to test the waters. It wants you to brave this life. It's pushing you out to what you fear the very most, where your trauma is. This is the places that look the most scary are seriously the places that you need to go visit the most, because they're the ones that are going to free you. And as well as I do that you don't want to remain in the safety of the four walls of your home for the rest of your life. That's really not what you want. A comfort zone becomes uncomfortable when we know it's time for change. And we cannot evade change. Waves of light are pouring onto the earth. We're entering new earth consciousness, and that becomes demanding of us to rise up to the next level. It transcends the paradigm of separation, the paradigm of victim mentality, the paradigm of I shouldn't have to deal with this, I don't deserve this, I'm different from them. That's all the paradigm of separation. The divine truth of who you are is whole and complete. It's the yin and the yang. It's solid. It's balanced. We came to experience weakness and imbalance in order to figure out and take personal responsibility and healing that and bringing our health and wellness back into harmony and balance in the way that fits our unique path. Do what needs to be done. Do what you know needs to be done. Whatever that is. Look a little less on YouTube, look a little less on Google, look a little less out there for all your answers. There is no psychic on this planet has your answers better than you do. And when you start trusting yourself and you start taking your hits on your intuition and you start deciphering your own messages and your dream interpretation and your signs and synchronicities, and they begin to make sense for you and you get excited, you start walking that path, you start walking your path, you take the wheel back of your life, you are going to look back to the version of you that wanted answers from other people, and you are going to see, wow, what a shift, what a paradigm shift, what a totally different being I am today. And you will never want to go back there. You will never want to go back to the person that's scared and afraid and looking for help and answers from other people, because you're divine by nature. You are capable of achieving the versions of yourself and the goals that you cannot perceive that you're able to accomplish at this time. That's who you are, and that's what awaits you. Do what you know needs to be done. Take that action, step into the unknown, and forge a way where there is none. The best is yet to come.